Disclaimer. The information and education material contained herein is meant to promote the general understanding and dialogue of GAN's processing. Such information is not meant or intended to serve as a substitute for a healthcare professional's clinical training, experience, or judgment. For patients and individuals, such information is not to be a substitute for professional medical, therapeutic, or healthcare advice or counseling. For medical issues or concerns, including decisions about medications and other treatments, readers, viewers, listeners should always consult their physician or, in serious cases, seek immediate assistance from emergency personnel. Prescription information, procedures, and use of medical devices information should be undertaken only by properly trained and certified medical personnel. We specifically disclaim any warranties, express or implied, including implied warranties of merchantability or fitness for a particular purpose. Such information is provided, as is, and is believed to be accurate at the time of its publishing, but it is the viewer's job to evaluate the accuracy of any information found in this presentation. Every case presented is of their own experience, applied by themselves for themselves, and it applies to their case only. Every person experiencing health problems should seek professional medical advice and consult their course of treatment with a doctor. The processes of plasma balancing described herein are a natural process which supports the body but does not replace medical advice or therapies one is already subject to.
It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent His messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears, that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the messenger, not to oppose, but by them understanding through those who have become messiahs to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness by giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but a star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand. To be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life, in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 427th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, April 7th, 2022. This is a presentation of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department and part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be host today, and of course, we are joined with Mr. Mehran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, and I believe he's eager to deliver today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe.
Oh, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers Spaceship Institute line of teachings. We welcome you back, and we hope we share some more knowledge and some more understanding of the knowledge of the way the creation works. And one of the most important part of the understanding of the creation is how does everything create? How everything was created. We know from the understanding of the new technology that in a way, human race is not the only race. But to understand it completely, that allows us to bring us to the next step, to the next level of what we call comprehension of totality. In the world of creation, in the science of man up to now, we talked about Adam and Eve, we talked about the man being created, or the essence of the creation of the man from Central East Africa, and then we spread and the rest of it. But where did this come to lead to the creation of man? Is life of man an accident of time and position in space? Or for us to put aside our prejudices, man become the knowledge of totality, to understand the total knowledge of how it is. In a way, man always thought up to now that from creator and comes the man in one position in South Central Africa and the rest of it. In the teaching in the past, we have explained a lot in these processes. But in a way, we are not a direct line connection. We are a connection of a connection of a connection. And these connections have been going on for trillions of years of man's cycle. Each one being another galaxy, another universe, another dimension, in different shape or forms, releasing energies, that the end product of the energy in combination of what we has become, the center of the earth, in a cycle has created the what we call life of the man in one position. But again, when we study the understanding of it, even in the historical data, we understand that man was not created in one position alone. There is a possibility that simultaneously number of races of man, number of races of beings were created at the same time across this planet. Because we know, we have understood, we have gathered enough information to understand that the cat, the dog, the dinosaurs, and the rest, all, plus the man, plus the trees, all started with amino acid. And a deviation and diversion from one to the other with the presence of different materials led to the creation of a variety of lives on this planet. Then the question arises for all of us is, what happened in this cycle, or what happened in many cycles that emanated from the source. Would some of these in the long run became in meeting this led to the creation of, or did some of this came back and it met to the point that it met led to creation of? In a sense, once we found the combination of the energy source, communication source, holding energy pattern, and line of gravity, you can replace this with any element depending on the time, place, and position. So, in fact, life is not exclusivity of this planet. Never been. And in a way, shall never be, because ongoing process still is carrying on with other cycles from the same source, where could be that these sources which lead on could be collective, the soul of the planet and the man which is created out of it as a seed. But we understand now the totality. And if we understand the totality, we understand the reality and the fact that we are totally, utterly creation of coincidences. And if these coincidences led to creation of life on Earth, so life has existed and exists in all dimensions across the universe. The only thing which now is happening with the human race, and hopefully once the human race understands it, will come to all the rest of the creatures on this planet and the rest of what will come from them, is that now we understand we are a member of a very big family which all creates from the dimension of the creation. And this family is not exclusivity and is not going to end, because the cycle has already started into the next generation. The cycle of soul of the man that agrees to the creation of their cycles. So what is important for us, if we are going to make this trip backwards and meet with our other fellow and other people which we are created out of, then very much, as I said, in your amino acid, in your RNA, and in your DNA, this information exists. The way in your DNA, the information about the man and how to be a blue-eyed and how to behave exists, because this is collective of this. But as we have not understood the rest of the structure of the energy fields of DNA and RNA in totality, we do not see that we are connected to this and to this and the rest of it. In a way, we have to understand in the development of the new spaceships and space development, how would this soul from this planet, how would this system, what we call enhancement unit, will perform in this? Would it survive? Would it become the whole understanding of us, how to tune our systems, flight systems, that we do not go to a dimension that we are so weak that in essence we are not heard, we are not seen, we are not existing in a dimension of the physicality of the time, place, and position. Does the soul of the man, does the physicality of the man needs elevation of the strength in his own circle? As we know, the plasma goes this way. Does it need elevation in the circle of inner strength to be able to manifest itself at a higher order? Just because you cannot be seen does not mean that you don't exist. But once you understand the strength of the emotion, understanding, would this lead to a new generation of more intellected being as we start traveling back and forth in different dimensions? Does the soul of the man has reached the point of understanding that does not need crafts, but it needs to understand how to go within its own inner sanctums and be able to revert back. So man can be manifested at any position, at any time. It's him who will decide, not the machine. The machines will help us, maybe in the solar system, maybe within our galaxy. But if you are to go in a deeper essence of understanding, we understand more. The reality is what we see as a human race in one corner of this universe is what is matter state to the human strength vision point of view, which is something like less than 2% of what it is. So we have to gather a strength to see different strengths that we can understand, and we can manifest ourselves in these different strengths, because the green cannot see the black and the black cannot see the red. This is why our spaces are empty from the vision of the man point of view, where in fact the universe is a multitude, a solid, dense, what we call interaction and existence of the fields, which one is centralized, but at the same time this universe itself is on the what we call another spiral of energies, which will lead in one way or another to what we call the source. The first energies, the first origin started, where in these points we'll come across different what we call galaxies and universes, and depending how far we can go in the depth of the energy. But in essence, we all carry the essence of the creation, the source, the level of where the life will start. The question for man will be that in a circle of his essence of creation, in manifestation, which is gives to be seen, would that within the inner strength exist a strength which is as the strength of the creator that finds the line of communication, finds a common source, finds the seed of. So if you understand this and what we explained, then within the center of the soul of the man, within the seed of the soul of the man, sits the seed of the creator. I made man in the image of myself because I am myself within the image. And this brings a lot of complications for a lot of people in a coming time as we develop the space technology, not into the dimension of physicality, but in the dimension of what we call field, the strength of understanding of the creation. If you are sitting here with the soul of the man, then you want to connect with the soul of the others, which you see through the dimension of physicalities. When man opens his eyes and sees the totality of the vision of the universe at a higher order, will see nothing but the transparency of the fields of motion, which means you will not see the galaxies anymore, you will not see the stars anymore, but you see fields in dimension of the total motion. And in fact, this is the beginning of what we call the teaching of the Keshe Foundation. Because we started as matter state existence. We started what we saw as elements. We became atomic, we became nuclear, now become plasma. Then in the world of the plasma, once we start looking that we have opened with the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation, we see the essence, replication of what it saw in the universe. And then what it'll be in the Creator. And us, in understanding of totality, seated somewhere in a weaker position here, most probably, but the process will carry on. In a way, we are just the energy transformation. And if we can add enough strength to our soul, in the next cycle of the creation, we might jump here. But if we can gather enough, understand the totality enough to be able to lock into the energy fields of the cosmos of the higher order, one day man can be here without needing to travel the whole length and the caboodle of the creation. So what it comes to is the fact that mankind is not alone. Mankind is not there to carry on with the abuses, what is done on this planet, once it goes into space. We cannot start in a way that I've said many times, eating whatever comes across us, destroying whatever comes across us, unless we understand that we are part of the process, and in that process, the survival, the integration, and the keeping everything together of the soul of the man at a point of establishment is the ultimate goal. Which means the habit of the man to destroy, to absorb the energies of the field of the what we call earth, to elevate extension of the strength of the soul, cannot be repeated in the universe unless you learn to live within, absorbing with the structure of the soul of the universe and the soul of the Creator, which is, in essence, lower version absorption of the fields that we, according to the strength of our soul, can absorb. We cannot give a banana to one day born child because it's not ready, cannot digest, cannot, the body, the understanding of the life within it is not there at that strength. It is time to mature, that one day down the line, he can be given the first what we call liquid, the solid, to enter the next phase of the life, that he can live on the process of the other entities in this life. What happens when, now that the man gains the knowledge, feeds the child from the day of the birth, gradually, from the essence of the soul, then matters of the planet. It is the responsibility of the parents to learn the process and gradually phase out the killing, phase out the destruction, phase out the absorption of the others collective. Where it's available, you take. And to what strength you take? The knowledge given to knowledge seekers is there in a way that the child of the man, the essence of the soul of the man, gets fed from the essence of the energies of the universe, not from matter states of the universe, where the energies are and can be converted to suit the energy fields of the need of the man at a point of need. If you understand this process, then you understand why, especially in the enhancement units which are developed, you don't see any restaurants or cafes or toilets. Rick, can you go through the promotion video of the flight enhancement unit where you see the 3 units next to each other and put it on the screen, please? This means that when you look at the new enhancement units, which are flight units, according to the man, when you are on a flight, you need to have everything for the man. When you get on a plane to fly, you see the seats, you see the toilets, you see the kitchen that they can serve you. If you look at the structure of these flight system, there is no kitchen. There is no toilet. There is no control room. There is no control panel. Now you understand. Even with the simple animations, we have introduced the next cycle of the space travel in a very soft way. In a way that you see this is a craft built for the space that can travel any depth of the universe, as it will not consume another being. In a present situation, if it's 4 of you and you get stuck, you look at which one of the other 3 passengers am I going to eat? Can you go back to the 3 crafts, please? In so many ways, if you understood this, yeah, can you stop it there, please? You will understand that we have already introduced to you what was in past few minutes explained. We are making man ready for that final flight, where man dictates travels with his soul, understands even the system, understands the communication of the soul that it can fit to satisfy. In the flight enhancement units, which you will see coming up, only 1 seat has control system built in it, that in the soul of the man, with the soul of the man, it communicates with the system control, and within the structure communicates with the soul of the system, where this as intermediary understands in proximity what it needs to be done by the total craft. What energy level to adjust to, that in the process you come closer or further afield. Do I give more because I came from Earth and I'm traveling that way, away from the energy source? Do I give more to move away in a strength point of view, not in a matter state of view? or I gain from the environment that I can come closer to the seed, to the essence of the origin of the creation. This is where the new development, the new teaching, the new structure is taking us. It's where we will go through with understanding the totality, where we come to be part of the essence of the creation. We have been part of the essence of creation, and we shall be part of the essence of the creation in a different dimensions and strengths from the beginning of the time. The reality for us is to understand the process. In the present system of what we are used to, we call it the solar system. We always look at one point. We have the sun, and we have the earth, and we are its citizens. We feed ourselves from its energies and elevate our souls to become passenger, depending on what we have done in our cycle of life, to be closer to the higher strength to move forward, or due to the crimes we've done to go backwards. In a way, not backwards, but be part of the next generation of the developments of the next cycle. Maybe our soul in the coming time, in a process, will interact with another soul, and that soul will interact with another soul, which leads to the next generation of souls from interaction of the fields which came originally from the earth, through the soul of the man or through the soul of the animal. But what we have not considered, and we always look at it so, what I call dismissively, is that day and night, this planet Earth is getting fed by the mother. It's not just the daylight, it's a continuous feeding to be able to control the dimension. And as we said before, the sun itself is getting fed by the resources, not only in galaxy, but in the universe and the unicos, depending on the field strength of where they come in. As we are fed the same way. We are not just fed by what we eat from the ground, but from what rays of the universe has come through that is end up with us as a body, as absorbing and converting it to what we need. These teachings, even though simple, are essential for the humanity to know what is to come, or where it wants to be, how it wants to be, the way it wants to be. And clearly explains from what we said this morning, and many times, we are not designed to be human. We are not designed to be a cat. We are nothing but the presence of interaction of the fields, which has given time and space, has led to collection of the fields, which on the gravitational field strength of the earth creates motion, emotion, and with it, existence. If this planet would have had a slightly different composition of the field strength from the center of its core, your amino acid would have not been what we see today. A slight deviation, as I've said many times before, would have put you here with a different element. And then how would you look? What happened if this process of the elements of this, what we call structure, was slightly different than what you thought it'll be? You would have been green, for sure. And you could have been a slightly combination of the two possibility would have become maybe a dark green color. As long as we can make a line of connection with the environment, and as long as we can hold on to the energy, gravitational field, and as long as we can release field energy, the storage decides the manifestation of life. And then, at the present life, we look at nitrogen. We make all our fertilizers connected to the nitrogen. And if the science of the knowledge of the today could be understood in a deeper way, by the color of the leaf of a plant, we can decide the strength of the nitrogen we need to keep this composition. And then mankind does not need the plant, but it needs to understand the coding of the field strength. Those of you who work to the dimension of energizing the soul of the man, you should have guessed the whole thing, what and how you need to target to work to increase the field energies, that you elevate the soul in the dimension of the amino acid interaction. Is the collection of the egg and the sperm which led to the creation of the soul of the man. The combination of the field strengths the two share in the, what we call dimension of the creation of life dictates in so many ways, and the point of the collection and completion as what? The color of the eye, the shape of the face. So what would be if you change the environment of the earth with a man to another dimension or to another position in the universe? But in fact, the essence of the soul stays the same. The essence of the source does not change. It's the interaction of the fields of the source which creates the shape, the color, the position where the soul can interact and survive. If you understood this, then you understand how we as a human race come to understand we are the makers of the decisions, and we are the decision makers of the presence of our soul in any dimension. Now we have to learn how to tap into these energy sources. What do we need to change that we change accordingly? We know this process through our own existence, but we have dismissed it. We have not looked at it in depth. We looked at it in everywhere, but except the dimension of the field interaction of the soul. When the soul of the man is ready and is grown enough in the strength within the physicality of the man, then it takes energies from the dimension of the physicality of the man and in the dimension of physicality, you find yourself with a gray hair, with shriveled skin, and the rest of it. Where in fact, the energy strength of the soul has changed, and the interaction of the change of the field has changed the manifestation of the presentation. When you look at a gray hair, when you look at the white hair, it tells you that the soul has elevated, the soul has gathered enough strength, and it lays out why. Why do you get a gray hair or a white hair? Because you went through an experience, you added to the energy of the soul. Soul now has a different strength. It used to be here in the center, now it's become, in fact, here in understanding of the totality. Do you need to get old that create the atmospheric condition or interaction of field condition that it affects your physicality, or you learn how to interact to expand the totality of the fields, that physicality never changes. The fountain of youth. The fountain of youth is understanding the strength of the field of the soul of the man, not understanding the way the physicality can extend its existence on this planet or beyond. When you create this barrier, the dimension of physicality doesn't interact and is fed within, so you stay constantly the same. Then, if you understood that, you decide yourself on your own in which dimension of physicality, with a new dimension of the field strength, you manifest yourself. Or if you carry on with committing the what are called crimes, with taking lives, then which direction does mankind want to go? You have nothing to give to create the dimension. Go back to one of the intros. You care about your children. You care about how physically you look, how smart you are, what suits goes with the other. But you have never thought what you're going to do with this one, which is your soul, and its interaction will create your dimension of physicality. If you understood this part of the teachings, then you understand simply man is the creator of his own destiny in the strength of the soul. Then you decide you stay for 1 year, 1 decade, 1 century, and 1 life of the universe. It's all within us. It's all within the structure of us. It's just trying to understand the next step. We don't need guns and bullets to show our power. We need generosity and love and giving to be able to release the same energy. I made man in the image of myself by giving, not by killing. Then it comes to understanding of the totality. In so many ways, it comes to understand to what extent we can help this process to be. When a child does not understand, you explain, you send him to school, to comprehend the next step of knowledge to gather more. In this process, the teaching the school of the soul of the man at this moment of time, till the man learns and become graduate, is being chosen to be the enhancement unit. The sandbox of your soul. The sandbox of understanding the use of the fields of the universe, not the use of the fields of the life created in the universe. There is a big difference in killing and in what we call giving. If we are given, is the essence of life. If we take it by killing it, we have diminished the life. A child does not kill the mother to take the energies to grow. The child takes from the mother what the mother prepares, and he makes it ready as a milk for him to suckle on. Man has to be that child, to take the fields of what the universe has prepared for it, and not to kill, to take that there is no field to create another life with it, to support another life with it. And this is where this planet has a stock with, is what we call evolution of the completion of its totality. Man will learn the milk of life comes from the essence of the fields of the universe, and not by destroying the life in the universe to get what he wants. How do you taste if I eat you? Should be, what do you have for me to feel the love of you for me that allows me to elevate myself, my understanding of my soul. The university of the universe is understanding which fields in which way to use without destroying. Then the university of the man, he gives you the best chemicals to give the maximum survival time, that when you kill the animals, you get what you want. The enhancement unit is not there for you to walk away from the cancer. It's not there for you to walk away from what we call Alzheimer's or whatever. It's there for you to learn the next step in the development of the soul of the man, that the man becomes the child of the universe and not the child of this planet. The baby does not kill the mother to get. It gives love and laughter and a smile to the mother that mother can give. A man should be that baby in the universe. Become the source of elevation, joy of being part of the universal community, that going out to carry on with the killing and more destruction. And this is why the man has been contained and confined to this planet till he sorts this thing out to understand. We allow the soul of the man of good conduct to leave the planet. But the physicality of the man with the soul, which is engaged with the physicality of the man, will remain till he learns, I have the physicality, but I've learned not to kill, not to destroy, not to enforce by the forces. The process of the creation in understanding the new enhancement centers is to start the new line of communication between the man and energy fields of the universe, that one of these might lead by understanding it to the essence of the source, which is the creator. It's not that all the fields from the source have to go through divisions and breaking to become the soul of the man. The soul, the generosity of the creator's field of creation, they still exist. It's you who have to understand how and the way to the strength that you can tap in your soul to it. And with it, with that understanding, create a line of communication between the man and the creator. If you understood this, then you come to understand the work of what we call the enhancement. The enhancement units are built in the shape of the universe and nothing else. When you look at it, as I said before, and the energy field of the center of the system is set to match, to be able to match the soul of the man and the soul of the creation, both in both dimensions of the field of strength. And how we turn up to be, how we allow this process to be followed, to be as part of, to be in conjunction and in process of understanding of it. And this is the purpose of the enhancement units. This is why we build the enhancement units. The replication of the man, when you get into it and you understand the feature of it, which part of the universe you want to be in. The position and the destination is decided by the soul of the man within the system. And as you approach this understanding is where in the unicos you will land. The whole process of the understanding for man has been, the block for man's understanding has been the motion of the magnetic fields. Creation of magnetic fields. Collective interaction of the magnetic fields. And then maybe in a simple way, man can see something in his existence and within this enhancement system. In fact, the central line is the same as the magnet you created as a solid. What we set up in the structure of the fields of the system, which will feed interaction with the soul of the man, understanding of the emotion, decides which one will be more interactive and where you will land. Or you decide that I want to be elevated in a way that I become in this process part of the fields of the universe. Then with what you interacted and what you give as a part of the totality will land you in that position in the universe. This, the same, could be the soul of the wanting to see the mother or wanting to see the child. There is no difference. It's you who decides if it's the mother position on the universe or in direction of the soul of the creator. Then life becomes without time, place, and position. It's you who receives, and it's you who gives. The flight enhancement units, by the inherited design, are both ways. They are givers and takers. Where the what we call enhancement unit for performance, body enhancement unit, are mainly in that direction. And with the material enhancement unit, we haven't done much difference. What we have learned is how to change the energies of the higher order to a lower order to the matter state. But in fact, We still work within the dimension of the internal fields of the system. And then what fields we create within this decides what we give or what we take from the system into the environment to the satisfaction of the soul of the man. You want a kilo of a gold, we shall create a kilo of gold. You are thirsty, that gold becomes water. You are hungry, that energy becomes bread. It's you through the dimension of the soul which satisfies. But this satisfaction of the soul has to be agreed to be balanced with the other fields, that you do not change position and space of the others unless they want you to. The mother gives you milk for you to smile, to kiss, to cuddle. You return back the energy. A lamb which comes to you to be fed, you slaughter. There's no difference between the lamb and the mother. It's you who has decided the hand which caresses the mother becomes the hand to kill the animal. And this is where the soul of the man has turned into its dimension of the work and understanding of the new teachings. It's you who has to understand this, and that hand has to become the source of returning the love and care, not the hand to destroy another life. And this process cannot change till the man matures to that point of understanding. I would like to see how you taste, but I have to bring you close enough to catch together. In the dimension of universe, the soul of the existence of what is aware of the emotion. Now we understand the process of the whole understanding of what the teachings are getting into. We try now to create the dimension of the communication and the position with the other places and points in the universe, on this planet, or more essentially, fundamentally, within the brain of the man, within its own emotions. Because it's these emotions which in a way allows the release of the fields that the body of the man decides its position. And as the soul of the man is within the brain of the man and is in a way replication of the field source, then the decision on how the soul of the man will take his time, place, and position. We're not teaching anything new, but we are opening the book of the knowledge of the creation that man can go to the next step, that we can establish the thing. Establish one point, one piece, one way to change. This is how the establishment of the Universal Council has become. The establishment of the Universal Council has one fundamental work to do, is that be there as the essence to feed, that the soul of the totality understand the totality of the creation. They are these units on the walls of the space reactor. These are the souls within the space reactor of this planet, to receive, to give, to elevate the soul of the totality of the created. That in that process, man reaches the ultimate knowledge, which has been and shall be and will never change till man becomes mature to the understanding of totality. In a way, if you look at it, we have replaced the reactors within the enhancement unit with the soul of the members of the Universal Council. They are those sources to bring, to allow, to elevate the soul of the totality, that one day mankind does not need the enhancement system, but survives in the structure of the universe as on its own field of existence. Because the reactors we build are physical dimension and strength, and in certain point in a universe, that strength cannot manifest and show itself. But the soul of the universal members of the group of man is a dynamic, and in essence, it can fit any soul. We fit in the enhancement units through the combination of different fields to work with the majority of the soul's strength created on this planet. As I said recently to one of knowledge seekers, and this will happen to many of you, this is not something that will be very, what you call, abnormal in the coming time. You have 4 sets in the enhancement units. And 3 of you are from the race of the man. But those who are here from other dimensions of the fields of the universe, they are after the elevation of the soul to the new dimension. They enter in the body of the man. But what happened when the system runs? And through different strengths of the soul they have and the expectation of this, they might create, receive the condition through understanding of the RNA and the energies of the universe to return home where they came from. But man is happy to go to New York or London. It's not that one of the passengers suddenly disappears. He actually goes where he came from. You all went to the same restaurant, but for different foods, for different satisfactions, for different elevation of the sense of the creation within you. One has a Chinese, the other one has what we call a curry, and the one is happy with fish and chips. But this chap, knowing, understanding through the essence of technology and being manifested, as one of us wants to go home. Many of you, in the coming time, in the enhancement units, will understand this very rapidly. There is a reason we chose 4 seats. You remember the star formation. We still follow the same principle. We still follow the same understanding and no difference. In essence, in understanding the totality, mankind will become very wise to the whole structure of the creation. And in a similar way, we become part of the universal community. We become to see the universe with a different eye, through understanding of the soul of the man, than through the taste, the vision, and the touch of the man. How would be the smell of such a galaxy or such a planet? When you pick up a soil, you smell it, you feel the smell of that planet, so shall be in the dimension of universe. Now we understand more why we teach in parallel both the dimension of physicality, which is now is the enhancement unit, the work of the enhancement unit, and what to come in the dimension of the soul of the man in conjunction with what man creates in the physical matter. In the physical dimension, in totality of understanding the essence of the creation. We are here just as teachers and not messengers. Message can be misread. Teaching has to be direct and clear. In so many ways, a teacher has to be knowledgeable enough to see the totality that can teach in the steps to each student as they come, they are, and according to their comprehension and understanding. When you go to a village, there's one class and one teacher. The infant has a chair. The child who's 7 years old has a chair. The 12-year-old has a chair. And the one which is 18 going to university has a chair. And the same teacher in that village teaches the infant to the teenager, to the one who's going to university, according to the understanding. And she speaks to the infant with the love and care as an infant, and to the teenager and what I call the one to go to university as a man, that he understands the understanding of the work of the what we call outside world. And the teaching has been done the same way. We teach with love and care to the infant of the man. The village is a village of earth, and the classroom is here. It depends where you see yourself, not in the dimension of the physicality and the knowledge, but in the strength of the field of the soul of the man. And then how we can nourish this from infant to maturity. But we speak the same language. And at the same time, the infant of the man, the village of earth, is within the universal community. When we teach those who are teenagers of the what we call the universe, and those who have matured to go to university, all sit in the same class. But they take different understanding from the same words and to the maturity of their own soul. The time of messengers and whatever is over, because message can be misread, but the teaching can be explained and become direct. Teacher takes his time to the child, the infant, understand what is the bottle and which color is which, where the one in adult who knows which color to mix to get what new emotion from it and directions of understanding. We taught well. It's mankind who has to understand and decipher and decides by himself where he sits in this school of knowledge. And I said from the beginning, you take from my teaching according to your intellect, according to your understanding. Not intellect by reading books, but intellect and understanding the work of your soul, the understanding of the inner creation, the understanding of totality. We still keep busy with opening factories and getting cups made and trying to get a flight system to satisfy different position and condition to bring all to the same point. As I explained to the head of the Keshe Foundation in China very recently, when they sent us a cup of, which is getting produced in China, I explained to the knowledge seekers about the same cup. We make thousands of cups and they don't come out perfect. This is a problem in China. The cups have a boil here or something else, but in essence, the whole have received the gases for what it is. But the strangest point is you still look at the physicality of the cup, but we look at different. The cup which is fit with certain gases in certain position will find itself when we sell it from China to Kathmandu or to Brazil. The cup which fits the man's needs in Brazil will arrive to him because the soul of the cup is made for that. Come home. This is where you're needed. It's not anymore what I put there. It'll go, and it has to go, and it's for you. The essence of the understanding is that the cups are made as a cup of the universe, as a cup of life, and you decide what you take from it according to the strength of the cup. One finds love drinking from a cup, and one finds eradication of the diabetic, and one finds new understanding. Because you take from that cup, according to what you asked, what was delivered, what you need for elevation of your soul. And when you elevate that position, when you reach that position, you'll find out, oh, I don't have diabetic anymore. You look at the physicality, we look at in how we elevate it to satisfy. Why do you get diabetic? What does it mean, the sugar level? What is you're giving unexpectedly and you're not receiving what you want? You call it diabetic? Isn't your body responding to? Hasn't diabetic becomes a point of the new problem for the mankind due to the energy transfers that we have created for ourselves in the dimension of the soul and physicality, and it manifests itself different way? This is what the new technology is. As you don't understand, we feed you in a way that unknowingly, gradually you come to understand the totality. Be it by water, be it by a cup of life, be it by the teaching, be it by understanding the totality of the message. But it's you who decides where and how we come to that point, where and how we come to understand that what we understand from the creation. Do we need any more prophets? Do we need any more Christianity, Judaism, Muslims, and the rest of it? Or we see it all as one? The path to understanding the totality of the creation, not in the world of physicality, but in the world of understanding for elevation of the soul of the man. In understanding the essence of the message, not the book of the message, because it can be made in any color, shape, and size and writing. This time, we teach you how to read and understand the message by yourself, that you don't need intermediaries of the prophets, the mullahs, the ayatollahs, and the priests. You are your own priest. You are your own decipherer of the knowledge and where you want to be. And meanwhile, we keep ourselves busy building the enhancement units and other bits that you understand. There is somewhere called the Keshe Foundation that I can get the knowledge on my own without intermediary, and I can translate it to what I understand. Now, what will help me to create that position and change? I hope now you understand when we say new ways of communication is set up, is part of the teaching, is for you how to communicate, how to build systems that you can communicate with yourself, with your soul, with the universal community, and beyond. Even if you elevate enough to go within a deeper inner strength of the man's soul, maybe you find the line of communication to your creator. And then, if you found that point, you become him, become part of him, and become part of the totality. Because now the strength of the fields of the creator, in a way, as it was before, between you and the distance, now you become part of totality as you become part of it. I made man in the image of myself, but the man is me within the image. This is what the teaching is about. And meanwhile, we keep ourselves busy to bring you to bring the children up from that infancy to what I call maturity in the same classroom of the earth. Thank you very much for today. We go through a break and we come back to answer any of your questions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe. I'll get a couple of videos set up here and we'll carry on with the workshop in a few minutes.
The revolutionary new Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit is due to be launched in June 2022, and in the same year is expected to fly passengers into space, to the moon and beyond for a day or even several days at a time. There is no need for the Flight Enhancement Spaceship unit to carry food or medicine, as it is equipped with the latest space technology for transportation, transmutation and deep space operation. This extraordinary breakthrough technology ushers in a new era of travel without the need of fuel, food, or medicine, even during the longest excursions into deep space. Each spaceship unit has a 4-passenger capacity for long or short duration flights and has the capability to travel between cities on Earth in a matter of seconds to minutes, depending on the distance and speed. This ability to traverse massive distance in such incredibly short time is not just a breakthrough for human transport, it also completely revolutionizes the transportation of goods and cargo and will rapidly overcome the need for one of our most polluting practices, namely marine shipping, as it finally breaks us free not only from the combustion of heavy diesel, but from the combustion of any fuel for propulsion in the future. The Flight Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a new paradigm in space travel, space medicine, and space technology.
The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit, a space technology that allows you to work with the fields of the universe. Creating a wide range of plasma field interactions and conditions, it allows the body to process itself from any physical or emotional imbalance. Once this balanced condition is achieved, the soul and emotion of the man can follow to find their balance, elevating the whole of the man. The new Horizontal Enhancement Spaceship Unit. Technology of the future through advanced plasma knowledge.
The new Vertical Enhancement Spaceship Unit. A plasma space technology to prepare humanity for transportation and transmutation in deep space. essential processes are embedded to prevent mutations and psychosomatic conditions during deep space travel. This new system is designed to support upper body conditions, especially of the lungs and intestines, and can be targeted specifically for each organ. When inside the vertical enhancement spaceship unit, the body experiences balance in totality, enabling it to correct and rebalance all the fields within itself. The new vertical enhancement spaceship unit, a dimension in health and transportation never seen before.
Okay, welcome back to the 427th Knowledge Seekers Workshop here on Thursday, April 7th, 2022. Okay, generally in the second part of the workshop, we have questions. Is that how you'd like to continue with this, Mr. Keshe?
This is how we've done for 9 years. You think they'll change today?
Well, there's always a chance. I have to allow for that. Well, sometimes you do continue to, with the teaching and so on. So
time it comes if there is a need to add to the knowledge. There is a next few weeks, we don't know yet when, we'll have a presentation by one of the knowledge seekers. They're putting a video for teaching of what sharing knowledge of what they've done. And I asked them for completing it. We already have this video with us for some weeks, but it's time for maybe to be shared. We stopped showing new technologies or new trials and new understanding by knowledge seekers through what we had, the hooligans of some of the what we call other people to attacking them. We're bringing these back again slowly, but at the same time, we try to enhance the knowledge and understanding. What we call the LINS exhibition center is reaching a new structure, a new number of what we call presentations and people coming to see. And maybe now that you understand more, when you go to the what we call the exhibition, you understand how the technology is set up to do that process of the elevation of the man, and how it's getting together to complete it. I hope you enjoy it. Some people who've been there, we have a very good presenter there, Mario, and we have the support of Klaus when things are there to be done with presentation, that you gain more knowledge and understanding and more to add. Now you looked at the systems, at what it does in a physical dimension. When you go into the exhibition center, look at what it does in the elevation of my soul, my understanding of the creation. That's what the soul is. The true creation, not by feeding and eating vitamins and the rest. Are there any questions?
Well, first of all, I'll remind the attendees they can raise their virtual hands so that they can, so we can open the microphone so you can speak. And I see there is a hand up here. But first, since you mentioned Klaus, Mr. Keshe, there's a question from Malcolm in the chat here. I know he's had this for some time now. So he says, well, first he says, wow, what a teaching, Mr. Keshe. Could you please expand on the uses of the plasma mirrors developed by the Austrian team and if they can be shared with loved ones? Thanks, Malcolm.
We put these mirrors out, very limited number. They're very hard to make. They're not easy things. And there was a reason for it. When it was done, we allowed it to go out. It has a reason we never explained, and there are reasons why we put it out for people the way it was explained originally by when it was introduced by Klaus. You got to understand there are different levels of knowledge within all the structures of the Keshe Foundation teaching and equipment and the systems. And these mirrors have, now that we have more knowledge, have a different use or can be used in a different way by the knowledge seekers. We keep a lot of this away from public because it's more or less, it's a fire. You don't want us to show you how you can burn yourself with it, because if you don't know how to handle the fire. The mirrors have a specific use, and I think we stopped selling them because they're too hard to make and keep the quality as we liked. Is Klaus in the background? He can join you and explain what was done originally for in Austria, and then I might add some more knowledge to it. Do we see Dr. Klaus in the background?
I don't see him right now, unless he's behind someone else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, he could be in the factory. It's or somewhere in the what do you call it, in the operation. This system, due to their blackness, have a inherent characteristics of absorbing fields, and then how these fields will reflect back. You go back to the first paper we published, creation of black holes. They are like black holes, but it has a very interesting characteristics which it needs to be understood in a way. When you look at these, what we call mirrors, they're very thin discs, and they have a nano layer on them. They're totally covered. You receive energies from both directions, and what happens to this energy when it crosses the copper? What happens collectively within this structure? And what is the properties of those lights which are not absorbed? Due to the curvature of it, more or less, it creates on its own. You absorb the light from this side is not the same as this side. When you look at the disk, two of them, then because they are made of the same, the reflection of the fields is one to the other. It's you who's in the middle. It goes back to a lot of teachings. It needs a lot of understanding, and then has other application implication in the work of the Keshe Foundation. What fields are reflected at this point, and what fields are absorbed at this point and reflected back at this point, or the same in any position. As we know, black holes are not what Stephen Hawking said, that they absorb everything. Now we know they're a source of energy, but what sources do they release? This is the key to the operational understanding of this. Any other question?
Reminds me of the original lasers that had two mirrors that allowed the light to bounce between the two mirrors and interact with a ruby crystal in the middle. And that's how the laser light was created for the first lasers. So could two of these plates be put in parallel and a reactor of some sort in between as a focusing point for the plates?
You can do a lot of things with it. You can do a lot of things with this. But this is just what you call it, a small understanding of it. People will try. We charge, I think, about €1,000, something like that for this.
Yes, they're quite I remember it was like 40 layers of
It's a very, very
nano coatings on it.
cumbersome. Yeah, so very
Took a month or more to make, I think.
We stopped. We had 2 or 3 left because it's so cumbersome. We stopped producing them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you understand the principle, it has different application.
Sure looks like a flying saucer in your diagram there. Suspiciously like a saucer.
Ask yourself why the saucers look gray, silverish gray to the eye of the man. When at the point of death, you look in the eye of the man, it's got a silverish, bluish color. For an instance or for some time. Why does man see spaceships in a silver color most of the time? That should give you a lot of ideas and understanding. I see we have a stranger amongst us today. Somebody we haven't seen for a long time. And he's sitting there very quietly. Maybe he's asleep. He can teach you a lot about these things. Any other question?
Okay, we have 4 hands up here to address, as well as some questions in the Q&A. Jacko, if you would like to go first, and then Thomas after that.
Sorry, Rick, that was not my intention.
Okay, gotcha. Thomas, go ahead there now.
Thank you, Rick. Good morning, Mr. Keshe. How are you?
Not too bad, you sound good.
Mr. Keshe, I have sort of come across over the last few days that our beloved Khazarian mafia sort of let us know that their goal was actually, as they stated already years ago, is the reduction of the world population. Now, it appears, since they didn't have their success they wanted with the virus, they are now joining or trying to apply another thing, which is to create hunger and people dying from hunger. And the last they sort of decided in this direction over the last few days is that, for instance, in America, the railway, which has sort of 2 separate transportation, one for high value good and one for lower value goods, they sort of told the railways not to deliver low value goods, which are, for instance, the feeding crops for cattle, which means that if the cattle doesn't get the food within a certain number of days, they have to be slaughtered, which will create hunger. Now, is there any possibility that the Keshe technique and can sort of intervene through I don't know what in this situation? Because The first people who will suffer from that is, for instance, like North Africa and other countries, which is absolutely incredible.
You got to understand, to be able to respond to positions like this rapidly, it meant to build structures that can support such a massive change. And this is why we do the teaching publicly, that you can do it yourself to help yourself. And there's not much can be done by organizations like us when we don't have the fundamental structure in the background with it. And to build these kind of structures takes a long time, 10 years, 20 years. And in that process, by introducing new technologies, new systems, things can be done. But at this moment, it's what the farmer does or what a man does to help himself with the knowledge we've given. It's like the cup of life. You help yourself with the krona. What is the next step that you can feed your soul that you cannot feel hunger or you can understand? You can feed the soul of the cow or the sheep or the plants. We can come up with anything, any group trying to do things, but essentially, by understanding the interaction of field of the universe with a man should become self-sufficient in feeding itself or being able to transfer energies to feed the others. If you stand in front of the cow, you put wheat in front of it. What about if you could understand the strength of his soul, that he can feed his soul, that he feeds his body, you don't need to put a hand out with the wheat. What about if we can teach to that level that we create an environment that matches his need? We are developing and testing these systems already. It's, as I've discussed it with both 2 or 3 of the knowledge seekers in research, where essentially you don't need to feed the citizens of a city. You create all the fields that what they want to absorb, they absorb from it. Then what do you develop, or how do you develop technologies that it feeds that everybody stays out of hunger, well fed, not aggressive, and the rest of it. The knowledge, the technology is there. It's just that we don't have, there is no, the whole structure of the Keshe Foundation is as an infancy. Till we build up the factories, we build up the structures that can produce mass production. Any other question?
Okay, we have Andreas next. Would you like to go ahead, Andreas?
Yes, hello, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much for the teaching today. We have a question from the German-speaking community. It's about the flight enhancement units.
Yeah.
And the question is it only possible to travel in these units for people who have understood and their soul is already elevated? Or how is it for the different understandings of the people, what they experience there? Thank you.
This is the precondition set. We say from London to New York. The souls which want to go to New York will be ready to go with it. That's as simple as that. As simple as that, no more.
Thank you.
We preset the condition by what we call understanding of the souls. Any other question?
Okay, we've got Salamia next, and we'll get a couple of questions from the Q&A.
Would you like to change the pictures, Rick, in the center?
Thank you very much, Rick. Hello, Mr. Keshe, and thank you for your opportunity to inform my community about your answer concerning decontamination. And now I would like to ask you another question related to our units of flying. What is Keshe Foundation strategy to change the status quo, actual status quo, and create a new world order based on peace, utilizing this space technology, especially our fly unit? I know that defense is related with space technology in our actual paradigm, and how you are planning, how it's your vision about the future, how we can create peace and get rid of this crime against peace. Thank you very much.
We don't have a strategy. We started a way of living. We started a way of life. And we work to that target. That by teaching more people becoming part of it, then we achieve to understand more of what we need. Obama signed the Keshe World Peace Treaty to his name, but he never signed it to his nation. Putin, Armin is here in the background, sent it to Duma, where we were in training and left there. I don't want to make a decision about the peace, but that the parliament does, that the nation decides, do they want a peaceful time? It's spreading the knowledge, it's spreading the technology, that it comes to a point that everybody has everything what they need and it cannot be controlled by the others. Then where does the peace goes, and with it comes peace, because you can do what you like. We're getting there. It took 20 years to build it up. And then once, now we go through the development and delivery of the enhancement units and the rest, we'll see the change. Because the enhancement units are given to the countries. They have to make it fly. They have to understand it. We teach, and they come up with their own version of how they see it, according to their scientific data. African nation might reach it far faster than American scientists. Our job is not there to enforce peace. We are there to teach how the man to become peaceful with himself and his community. It's two big differences. When you enforce it, they find another way. When they do it, they find another way. We have seen it now very clearly within your borders with Ukraine, what has happened in Ukraine and how war leaders go into any strength and any, what they call, position to lie, to cheat, to create dimension for them to be war leaders or who's more powerful. And when they're exposed, everything wrong is with the other side, and we hide behind it. We don't let it come out. We've seen it clearly in the past 10 days with the situation in Ukraine and the fake images which has come up. We saw the same fake situations in train stations, on the high streets, all made up in our cities 3-4 years ago, if you remember. Suddenly out of nowhere, there was a lot of shooting, a lot of somebody killed, a lot of people attacked, but there was nothing. The actors get up and go. Now we saw this in a bigger scale in what we call Ukraine. And I was just, we're seeing this now, we go to help, but it didn't work. If you remember, the propaganda of the West was that the Russians have planned this to do, but in fact was their own plan. That's what we're going to do. And when we can't get it, we fake it, and then we make an excuse to do something with it. And this is where forcing to peace does not work. It has to become the nature of the man. And how the man sees, how the man takes his own position. And then we've seen it. We established an organization called United Nations. Now that they can show main members of this controlling committee of the 5 have lied and cheated to get the others, they don't even convene the session to be shown that they lied. Because they themselves used this before in past years. And now it opens up a lot of oddities. I was reading an article how they have precisely pinpointed what was supposed to happen in 19th or something has happened in the 1st of April at what minute and what time by the scientists who can analyze the light and the vision and the control and the position. And we cannot be cheated anymore. So once you know you cannot be cheated, you don't create conditions of war to cheat others with it. And if you look, religions by the inherent work have launched towards. If you remember, we showed a picture of the Pope going to the Russian embassy, and we've seen the same man in Kiev for the same process. Now, thinking they can win, let's push more wars. The principle is what I call leaders on this planet to stop cheating and to understand and create and promote peace. Not by talk, not by not doing it. We're seeing a lot of things coming up. It's interesting. I received so many informations from knowledge seekers around the world without them knowing, because they're interested in one part, other one is another part. But as we receive a lot of information and we put it together, we see a pattern, a feature, what is and how the world leaders work and they plan to do things. How do we choose our new presidents and parliamentarians? That in their work, peace is there. It's not just to get them to the office and then change it. This is part of what we need to do to understand, and this is what I say. Do we need this kind of conditions? Do we need to push to attain these positions to show the power or to safeguard the others? Peace has to become inherited within the soul of the man, within the mentality of the man. Not be peaceful for a while and then go back to it when it suits. Now we see very, very clearly this, what we see in Ukraine. If this wouldn't happen, we would have had these situations right across Balkans, Central Asia, and Far East. Was it the right action in conjunction with the religious leaders' understanding of their work? Or is it another commotion in the structure? Peace has to become way of life, not the talk of life. And this is a problem. We teach you enough, can create enough positions, but how can you push it? I was talking yesterday to the airlines to go to Kiev on Monday. There is no airline creating flights. There is nowhere you can take what they call private event flights to go into what they call a war zone. And we can push to a limit, but we have to teach to create no limit. And that's the difference with the teaching and what we see in the present world operation. What you see with the present situation in what we see Ukraine, which is a concern especially for Romanians, like human body sits around Balkans, is several things have mixed up together, and those mixing up has created new condition. We see the same thing with the Iranian negotiation. We went in with the understanding that we want what we want, and once the Iranian officials and the team, after what happened, realized that now they have a thing to prove that they were innocent, they changed their demands and they brought the whole thing into a halt. Where you had the condition of negotiation, we agreed everything. They raised the situation, we safeguarded ourselves, we know what it is, and you don't turn it back into another phase of another demand. It's the same with the Americans. It's our world leaders who jump from one to another point when they get what they want or what they think they can get what they want. Releasing the report to the IEA and to the Iranian officials and to the Americans, they all knew how they were cheated and how they were lied, and now we want back what is not there. And one of what has been in it, a new addition. They want the Revolutionary Guard assets to be released because they were innocent in the whole operation. It was all lies. And the Americans are now playing to it, and this brought everything to a halt. We went to, but it was a position of the strength. Now it's become another position of bargaining. Now we have to find another solution for the peace talks in Vienna, because Iran moved the goalpost and the Americans with it. Everything was agreed, was done, and in understanding how lies have been used, now the goalpost has been moved because we were innocent. Now we want more. We want more things to be done, and more or less it will not fit into what, or we have to find a way around it. Would we get the Iranian officials to move for a time being with the sanctions on the Revolutionary Guard group, which is the main side of the financing of Iran, or we stick with it for another 10 years because they will not go and they will not make a change? Put this aside and do a new one. This is what the problem is now, which I thought is Iranian leadership should have moved on and let this go till we come to it when there is more peace and understanding. We take it up in the future. We have the same thing in Ukraine. There's a number of nuclear and biological labs built around the globe which can affect China and Russia directly. And they're now stopping it. They want to stop the play. And they know in the what do you call it, corridors of United Nations, the British being at the moment in charge, not allowing a hearing to be heard, which is unheard of, is another way of playing power games. We want to create war. They thought they'll get it and get that, what we call the kangaroo meetings of the Universal, what they call United Nations Council, and they got it through because they lied. Now they caught themselves. How can they convene a meeting in United Nations where they are the instigators? Of course, Britain will not allow United Nations Security Council to sit because they had it at the moment. Because the hand opens up, they've been inciting everything in Ukraine. Don't forget, it's the same situation as Libya. If you get into Russia Church and Russia Central Bank, is one of the richest in the world. Any gains will go to get in there. We saw what they did in Libya, we see what there was there, but it doesn't work because now they've got the most powerful nation sitting behind it. Russia is not Libya. And the only thing is we have to teach our leaders to be peaceful, to understand when you put a child in a school, you teach him how to be, mentality of peacefulness. When he grows up, when he becomes a president, he carries on with the same. This is what we saw now with the American position. It's very clear, and more is coming out. We're receiving so much information, even from internal security, is that Biden family have been in it up to their arms building biological labs around the world. Has made a lot of money for them. And this changes the whole view in respect to the American operation. We saw Trump going into that way. Biden family is deeply involved in biochemical laboratories around the world. They make money out of it. How can the father says, I don't know what my son is doing? And then the same father cried for the son he lost. Why is he allowing the sons of others to be taken life of? This is what we have to teach our leaders, not become the peacemakers and to be the new world order for peace by talk, but by action too. We have to change the mentality of the mankind from this warring position. Then we don't need enhancement with it. In the future, what we call agricultural part of the Keshe Foundation, we will show how we go back changing the essence of the creation, what was short in the physical dimension of the soul of the man, not only feeding it through the systems, but ingrain it within the genes of the man. Will introduce, in a way it has been done, but you're not aware of it, to enhance the soul of the man by the food the man eats. We have already started this in the production of the Keshe Foundation agricultural system, which are coming in to be tested. You feed the grain to enhance your physicality, but the structure of the system is set to enhance your soul, to make you a peaceful man, to give to the soul that the soul does not allow you to take more grain. It's the reactors are on the, what do you call it, on the bench, getting ready to be built. This year we might be able to get in the market, but next year most probably we will. Changing it is the important at the source, at where the man gets his food. We, with the new agricultural technologies which we develop, is gradually feeding the man with not only body enrichment, but with the soul enrichment as well. You have the systems. We taught you how to make systems, but you're so physical that you didn't see the Jones. The new systems allows life to coexist, not to destroy one, to get the other one to be better for us. It's the end of herbicides, and it's the end of pesticides. We destroy everything. This is one of the problems a lot of agriculture people with the Keshe Foundation see, because they're used to saying, oh, you got pesticide or you got herbs that they can damage the growth, because we always looked at they take the energy from the earth. Now the new technology takes the energy from the space. You see, even your material, your products increases with the more herbs. And sometimes the pests are actually the supporter of the cycle if you get the cycle right. And if it doesn't suit the cycle, they move somewhere else. We have to, not by producing enhancement units, but by creating the condition and materials and food that enhances the soul of the man become richer. And it takes time. We saw it in a very simple way, as you see on the video, by the agriculture crops in Australia with Jim and Lisa. They said, when, if you remember back some years ago, when they showed the lettuce production in Australia, people come asking for the product because they feel good with it, because it's not just the deliciousness of it, but it elevates the soul as well. So it brings peace to them. They come to get that peace. And this is what many knowledge seekers never understood. Why your harvest is not doubled. And oh, we use it, it doesn't work, and the other one uses it. What have you missed? Have you just went in there to physically increase, or you went there to satisfy the need of the plant that it can give you more? And allows with it to create new knowledge. It takes time. And we need, from now on, with what we have, with the presence of Mitra and the conditional existence of their life through it, to create new children of man. That in the next generation, they shall not kill. In the next generation, they shall not even think of war. We have created animals, and we have allowed them to become our leaders. Then you can see where we gone as a race wrong, and that's how it will be. It changes. Any other question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe. God bless you.
Okay, thank you, Salmia. Let's try a couple of questions from the Q&A, and then we have Andreas with the hand up. From Jackie in the Q&A, is there a GANS application that will enhance the thyroid gland and bring balance and restore function? Thank you.
Yes, we have successfully seen the effect of it. It's a specific way you got to be done, and it actually changes the emotion and the strength of the body as well. Yes, there is. We developed this one 2007, 2006. You don't need chemicals if you understand the work of it, what it is, what it does, by its position, where its position.
And that's normally a treatment. I have a friend that just had her pituitary gland removed because it had a tumor. And so she has to use synthetic hormones and so on as replacement. Is there a therapy that would be similar to the thyroid gland for that instance as well?
Well, yes, there is a solution to it. There is a way we've seen it. It's been tested. Thyroid glands are, where are they positioned? Put it on the screen if you can bring it up from your friend Wikipedia. And then you have parathyroid gland, which is as small as a dot. Sometimes finding it is more difficult than a needle in a haystack in the body of the man. Rick is busy in the background trying to find her.
I'm trying to find my screen right now for so I can get that up. There we go. Okay, just a second here.
Forget about all the literature which is written about this. Just look at the position. Now that you have an understanding of the fields and the energies within the body of the man, it's sitting around the voice box. Voice is a part of the emotion of the man. Sits between more or less equal distance, the position of this gland and the position of the soul and the position of the heart even dictates the behavior of the person. When it's a gland, it's a central energy, so it has a field strength of control. How does the communication of the fields of the soul of the man and the body of the man controlled in interacting with the soul of the physicality and the physicality of the man? It sits right under what we call the highway. It controls your sleep. If in some cases when they remove thyroid gland, you have to take tablets to awake. It controls what is asleep, controls the emotion, controls the freedom of the soul. This gland is not just a gland, it's a control system between the soul of physicality and the soul of the man and dimension of the flow. If you look at it, if I can show it to you in a different way, I have to choose a color you can see. You have to see where the soul of the man sits, where the heart of the man sits. Look at the two main arteries which pass both sides. Look at where the energy comes to go through. Where you take two types of energy, one to the other. It sits in a position in the background of it. If you can see it, the neural system, which is a control of the soul in the back. Then when you want to deal with it, you have to understand you need to deal with this chap first. Is this who decides what energies of the blood which come into the brain, the energies of the food which are passed on to the body, taken and controlled? And then you have to understand how deviation in field flow of the energy within the arteries on the side of the body of the man controls it. It's more or less is the most important gland between the soul of the man or the brain of the man and the physical part of the body of the man. And it's not just what goes, what we call in it. It is so powerful that we have no choice but to look at what fields it creates in this region. And we need to understand this, because we only look at the physical side. We don't look at the energy position of this. Don't forget, we always said from the teaching, glands are part of the brain which has been put in positions to do the job because there is too much information coming and going. They do the local job. It's too much goes in breathing, eating, emotions, everything which goes from the physical life into the dimension of the soul of the man and emotion. We've seen this 100%, more or less 100%. Women who are raped and are not allowed to speak if they put a hand on their mouth, or the attack has been in a position of what we call violence, that they could not speak. Majority of them end up with a cancer in this third gland. %99% of them. If you see a thyroid gland, especially when you cannot speak a word, when you get the emotion of the speech cannot be explained to the dimension of physicality, where the soul is aware of it. You have sometimes due to damages, physical damages, but essentially, thyroid gland is a condition of the speech, is what we call the communication word of the man to hear himself. And when you get an interruption, you get cancers of it and other deviation and problems. And if you can sort it out, they go back. We have had a case of girl of 22, 23, raped in the campus overnight walking. And within 2 years, she ended up with a cancer, thyroid cancer, and removal of it and the rest of it. And it took only a few weeks to understanding this, to elevate and bring back and allow to live a normal life. You have to understand where the glands are. Why do you take glands and you have to take them out? Glands should not be taken out, should be understood, the work of, and then allowed. Any other question?
Thank you for that. I think, Andreas, did you take your hand down? Perhaps you didn't want to speak, I guess.
Sorry, it was a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, very good. Let's see here.
Do you want to change your screen?
Okay. Okay, we have a series of questions from Cristiano here in the Q&A.
One question.
I think it's question by Alexandra from Brazil. First question, the maggrav in the vertical enhancement unit has been placed on the floor. Why was the maggrav placed on the floor? Is there any specific relation to the energy fields of the feet of the people who will enter the unit?
No, that maggrav system has a lot of functions. That is not just there for one thing. It has a lot of multiple applications and functions. It's part of understanding. It's not on its own. It's part of a system. It's this is the problem with the knowledge. They just see something. It's not. This is part of an integrated system. Has many functions. Any other question?
Okay, second question. Will we experience living longer than normal in this same physical body? How to keep the cage from rotting?
Find out how you can feed the soul. Then you don't need the cage to feed itself.
Okay. Next question.
Any other question from outside? I think 2 is enough. Otherwise, this will go forever. I've seen this coming up.
Okay.
Do you have any other question?
Let's see here. I think we had one. There's a question in the chat from Lothar. I think it's more of a medical question. Well, I'll put it out there. I don't know if you want to take on that question, Mr. Keshe, but they say, my doctor says that I have one heart disease named cardiomyopathy because of psychological stress. And after many medical controls, he says that my heart is on a size limit. Yet my pain and fear are about the last 20 years world situation. What kind of plasma water could be helpful and how to apply or patches?
We don't go in that
drinking?
territory. We don't go in the medical territory in no circumstances.
Okay.
Shall we call it a day? If you have no more questions, our knowledge seekers are becoming better and better.
There's other questions about the plasma mirrors and some questions about GANs, but if you feel like
what is the question about the GANs?
Lico asks, can you add GANs particles themselves to NaOH and KOH nanocoating? Does it have to be only the GANs water? And what happens when you add GANs particles themselves to NaOH and KOH nanocoating?
Try it. It gives a new dimension. It doesn't change much, but what it does, it allows a spectrum of nanolayers to be made. You change the field energy inside. Why we change N to K? Because it's a different field effect. So when you add the copper into it, you create a different isotope energy of the copper. When you change gas of Zn to it or CO2 with it, you create new gas, new, what do you call it, nanomaterials, space gap energy. I think knowledge seekers have a full understanding of this by now, but just to recap, when you nanocoat and you create the layers, this layer, space gap, is partially dictated by the amount, the energy you created with NaOH. If you change the composition of the energy of NaOH by adding another gas to it, or composition of gases, now the what we call the space gap changes to a newer space gap. It's the same element, but you brought different energy into play. It's the same, but different dimension of the energy of the nanomaterial will manifest itself. And when you go to make gases, the space gap of the energy in flow is different than the space gap energy of the original one. If you understand this, this is one of the reasons we tell you cannot make lead gases or aluminum gases affecting the body of the man. Any other question?
We have a comment, questions rather from Doug. Is there any comment from Mr. Keshe on the possibility of KF technology involvement in Ukraine to bring peace?
We have already offered the technology if biochemical or nuclear material used in what do you call it, Ukraine, to IAEA. Sorry, I lost my microphone. In a communication to IAEA earlier, about a month ago, we offered this to IAEA directly to Mr. Grossi. They're aware of it. And what do you call it? The materials have been moved to Austria to support the initial strike if it happens. Email dated 4th of March at 11:38 to IAEA. Very clear, if the situation in Ukraine nuclear power station goes to critical or leakage, we are ready to assist the IAEA to hold and absorb radiation within the parameters of the site. And we have given them the reports for it. We have factory in Austria and can back up immediately with the materials needed. We have the sufficient material to control the first initial leakage. And this goes on the same to submitting documents and other bits we've done with TEPCO and cleaning of the materials for a couple of governments, which is confidential reports that they have it, and plus other materials. The situation with Ukraine is very clear. We hope it will not go to that position, but we have enough materials to control and then support. We communicate directly with the these officers and with the leaders, and they know what is available where, and when it comes to it, it's there to be done. We are in a position, we are trying to sort out a position with directly doing some things with the Ukrainian leadership, but the more we go into it, even by hourly, we find out that the guy is much more deeply involved in corruption and all these, what I call dusty things, than what it looks on the surface. It's become a cry of wolf, more or less, what we see. But we are there if anything goes wrong. We announced yesterday in the Russian channel that we might need people to be in Ukraine, or that we're trying to get into Ukraine to create a condition. We're still working on it. That Keshe Foundation technology is present as part of the peace process. But we'll see. The people who've been in touch with us, we work through you if the position is very clear by the next 14 days. Any other question?
Dan has a question. If I travel to the planet Zeus, where will my physical body be while my soul travels?
Inside your soul. Where does your body go when your suit is in the restaurant? The suit doesn't go on its own. The body is inside it. Have you ever sent your body for a, what do you call it, for food to a restaurant, or you send your suits without the body? It's the same.
So do the units carry souls or physicalities, that is, manifestations of the soul of physicality?
Depending on their setting, both. In a vertical teleportation system, we carry the soul. Now the physicality is too difficult. And in the deeper space, it's easier to go for the soul. Question.
Okay, I have Mehran's question here. Go ahead, Mehran.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Thank you very much. I have a question about the life for the phenomenon of in the air, like people who go the other world and come back physically, medically, and they, if I can, I ask. So they talk about the wonderful colors that there is no such thing on Earth. They can never make it. And sceneries, wonderful sceneries. And then they go around and they meet people all in telepathic communication. The question is it creation of their consciousness, these colors and these things? And
The question is what? Can you repeat?
Is it the creation of their own consciousness that creates these colors and movements and talking and going around? Or is it that dimension when they are taken in, has another kind of plasmatic creation or composition than our Earth?
I'm looking for something to share with you. You have to bear with me, then I explain this. I have to get to it. If I can find it, take a screenshot of it and come back to you. We know the interaction of fields create what we call new dimensions and new position and in the strength. We what do you call it? We produce these interactions. When they call it near-death experience, or some people who, due to other conditions of the blood, they what we call have changed the strength of the field. It's like when you go to the dreams or when you go to sleep and the field strength changes. That change of field strength allows the soul of the man to go beyond the boundary of the body of the man. And in that process, we dream, we connect to other things. But in general, speaking about interaction and seeing other colors, we know if you are in a position of consciousness or the blood flow reduction, or at a point of no blood flow reduction, but still magnetic fields of the brain are working. You can go to what we call a condition where maybe when the heart stops, the magnetic field of the brain doesn't stop immediately, because it's still, even there, it still holds what we call still what we call field strength. So you could be called physically dead, but in fact, the soul is still contained by the fields of the body. And this containment holds on. So now you're in a state of half what you call dream and half asleep. Soul still has confinement with the strength of the field of the blood, which is within the skull of the man. So in a way, if I revive you in that position, you're not asleep. Your blood circulation comes back and holds strength, but your emotion and the part of the brain which keeps the emotion is still working, still registering, till the point where the soul of the man departs the physicality. Man records everything, fields interactions, every other interactions, memories, images. Now you don't have a restriction that you had before when you were awake or when you were asleep. And this allows you to what they call, we dream of something or we had a dream. You're still alive till the point when the strength field of the blood drops below the strength field of containment of the energies of the soul. You're still active. You still are dreaming, you're still there, but now at different field of strength. You're still communicating, connected to the outside world. So in that process of the transition, you see different strengths of the soul interacting still with the body of the man's fields within the brain. So the vision is still part of it. So you have a different field strength interacting with the same brain, but now in a different strength of the soul and different magnetic fields of the blood. So you see new colors because now it's purely magnetic field. There is no motion of the blood. And you observe new colors. You come to see new interaction of the plasmatic colors, not matter state colors. It's very much, we seen this one in China when we produced the first cup for sterilizing. They saw new colors we never knew before in paintings, in what you can bring out, because now it's both the matter state and the gas state interacting with each other in the magnetic field level, so you create new colors, new dimensions. But as the brain is active, and it's what we call the soul is still active, and the only magnetic field of the blood are holding on to the containment, then you see two plasmatic fields interacting and you see new colors, which we haven't seen. But in the space technology, you've seen is the gases have colors you don't usually see in a normal life condition. When we produce what we call the sterilizing cups we shown before, we created this in China, and they could see new colors. And the cup has a pinkish color that we never seen before. And what we call this opens a lot of things. And in book where we show the gases for the first time, we explain this, that you see colors which are not matter state colors. So yes, they see new colors they never seen before, because now it's the plasma of the soul interacting with the pure plasma of the blood in a way, and the brain, which is what is left. They see new colors without a shadow of a doubt. But if I jump in and pump your blood circulation, if it's not solidified in your blood, in your what they call blood vessels, then I get going and I create a new magnetic field containment. You come back to life, but your memory, your interaction is real because you went through it. You went from the physical containment to plasmatic containment alone, without the circulation of the blood to carry the information in motion. So you are frozen picture in a way, if you look at it, in a position where the fields of the blood interacts with the fields of the what we call the brain, or not the soul, and the memories of the brain is still working and it holds on to the memories and understanding. Maybe you see an uncle or a mother you're waiting for to see 100 years or 50 years, and she's there because now the field strength is different. This we understand fully. And if you look at some of the cups we sell, you see odd colors in these cups. They are not normal colors. When you look at it deep, it's the same way. You have a plasma of a gas which is within the pot, within the clay, and interacts with the matter state of the clay, so it creates new colors. Just look at just go on the Keshe Foundation website on the sales and into the cups and see the colors you see there. It's very normal. Now we understand the principle, the reason behind it, and how it takes shape. So people who say they've been to that, you haven't been, because if your soul has left the body, it's very, very, especially if the physicality has failed to keep what we call the ruh, the what we call the spirit has collapsed, then the soul is released. And you see people spend 10, 20 minutes reviving somebody and they come back, because with that push of the heart, pushing and pumping, you create that cage, you create that magnetic field which can literally stop the soul to be loose, to leak out, and to what I call take the flight of fancy because there is nothing to hold it. You cannot hold it anymore because the magnetic field is not there.
Thanks a lot. And most of them have a consciousness that at the same time can see what the neighbor in the second floor does, what his father in the village does. They can think of something and they see that.
Because you don't have that boundary anymore as such. You understand? Your soul travels deeper, further, because the limitation which was put by the blood, our prison of our soul is our blood flow. And if once mankind understands this, you can do a lot. And this is part of the what I call the enhancement units, not to interfere with the blood flow, but work within the structure of the soul of the man and the energies which are over the strength of the what we call blood. And if you can do that, you can create all sorts of conditions. Also, I can take you to a dreamland that you can see your grandfather and a grandmother have a food with them and come back and say, I've been there, they're there. In fact, it's not the dream. Is we change the dimension of the strength of the soul, but in the strength of the grandmother or grandfather. And you connect to and you enhance it. These are become reality as we understand more and more. Because we will create machines for it. People will endeavor to do it. And we have all these magicians say, you know, I can connect you to your father and to the mother, and oh, they're talking to me. But in reality, if you understand the knowledge, if you give it the destination, we'll land in that destination.
Thank you. The last question is, most of them, I think this can be partly physical condition, but most of them see their whole life like a video going through them. And they are active of that video from year 1, 2, 3. And at the same time, they are able to see the result of what they have done to somebody in later hours, like they have kicked somebody and they feel what they have done to that person hours later when he is in pain.
That's the connection of the fields. Nothing you can do about it. It's just the same process.
Exactly. I think
There's this process. It's nothing we can do, because now you see the whole thing. It goes back to the point, if you remember, I said, if we find people who've been in Jerusalem at the time of Christ, if you put them in a position you talk about, they tell us exactly how Christ carried the cross and how he behaved on the cross, because they're there. And I'm sure in the future, not very far, and many of the technologies developed will bring that. We'll go into the understanding. You know, now you need the spies to tell you what happened, whose computer was stolen, what the information was on it we're going to release. You will go into the dimension of the soul of the man, the RNA of the soul, and we'll hear what presidents plan and to create what war and how, and what was the outcome of it. We'll be very, as I said, now you understand more about the technology, you understand how realistic it is to create that condition. Would we come to the point when we put the world leaders who claim like we had nothing to do, we never created the biological labs into the machine and see the truth, their souls and souls cannot lie, through the RNA of the soul. And then you understand a lot of things will change with this technology. A lot of things will change.
And most of them, when they come back, they change their lives. They go to the serving of people. They watch their actions, their thoughts very carefully, and they change to the ethics you're telling us, ethos of be careful not to harm, and just do the serving and unconditional love. And they brought that results to change their life after that.
Sometimes we learn from it. Sometimes we carry on with it. It's the condition of life we carry.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Trying to find a picture for you to show you new colors when it comes. But when Rick goes on the Keshe Foundation website on the shop with a cup of what do you call it, pressure, and a cup of sweet cup, you see the colors you see are not normal colors in the cups. They are the interaction of the fields of the GANs with the matter state. But in the state of the body of the man, in that position, is not a matter state, it is a field of the GANs of the plasma of the blood. So colors are different, interactions are different. And read the book, it's already been explained on this, the colors we see. You see these cups, the colors are not normal colors. And each one is different. We cannot replicate cups' colors. Impossibilities. That's what I said to our Chinese team. In the cups, you have dots here or different colors. They want to create homogeneous cups. I said it's impossible. Because you cannot do this, because the fields interact and they change. There is no way we can give you matching 6 cups in the Keshe Foundation. Everyone has slightly different color, different shade, and how the material has been, used and positioned in it. We can try, but it's impossibilities. Now I'm going to show you this picture. You will see very, very clearly. This picture is taken of a cup which is specially made for a specific purpose to be used. And if I can share with you, you will see it. This cup is made in China with a specific GANs combination. We've shown this before. I'm sure many of you have seen it. If you see, it's the same composition, more or less the same thing, fired with the same, but these colors you cannot find naturally because it's an interaction of it. And these cups have been made for a specific, what we call sterilization, as we explained this before, is that you fill this cup with the water. You can go to a river, fill it up, wait a few minutes or seconds, let the water settle. The half a cup, the top water, you can drink it, is more pure than any purification system we know. these cups will be released in a very, hopefully, in the future, is tested, is better sterilizing than the most advanced sterilizing systems created by the Americans and the Japanese in the hospital. The doctor can put this next to it, use the tools on the operating room, instead of being taken away and sterilized, brought back, drop it in 10 seconds, you pick it up. This changes the whole health organization in Africa, in the third world nations. The death rate because of infection will die. The doctor can take a cup and wash the wound with it when he's done his operation. Then you don't get infections and death after it and all the complications. This was done in one of the masters of Chinese pottery's offices. One of the top masters in his camp, his daughter-in-law took it and made it. And it's so simple. And this is what the future is. Now, when you're in death, you see these colors you never seen. But it comes from the interaction of the fields of the blood, which is not circulating, but it's still magnetic. But the soul is still active. And the brain is in between, still recording. If I can bring you back by circulating your blood, you remember because the blood was there, the brain was there, and it's done. One of the easiest way, which I always said, which is never done, when you have somebody, you get the ambulance drivers coming and pumping, just connect the blood pump to the circulation of the blood and pump it. You bring it back faster than pumping and always electric shocks and the rest. If you can create that circulation, you will contain the soul. Any other question?
Just a bit of it I can ask if I can. Some people who did not have a good action, but nobody knew about it, they go there, they see the scenes which is not like that, the beautiful things. They see things like what we know about the hell, like the misery and the very cold, very hot, people are crying, things like that.
That's the emotion of that's the interaction of the fields with what they're connected to. Rick, do you want to change the screen, please? This is what is with them, how they connect and why is the soul connecting to that position in time and space? What they had to do with it, or why the soul has taken that position to see such a condition. Anyway, do we have another question, or shall we call the day? It's nearly 12 o'clock past.
Yes, perhaps you can answer a question from someone new here in live stream called Yu, who says, I bought the educational kit recently to produce CO2 GANs. The plates are placed vertically against each other. Would it create something different if I placed it horizontally? Now I know I know you answered this before, Mr. Keshe. Would it create something different if the plates were placed horizontally instead of vertically in the CO2 kit?
It can do, yes. Different isotopes.
Right. I think you explained that in detail a few workshops ago, as Fried mentions in that chat. There's a further question. If I try to produce GANs of different elements in the previously used box to produce other GANs, will that give the new production a new field strength which could exhibit different characteristics?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, Fried answered, I think yes, but could be better if answered by Mr.
Because
Keshe.
you have created a new dimension. There is something which knowledge seekers who've been there a long time doing things. You see, when you use the GANS boxes, especially if you use the same box for the production, the same thing, and then you want to clean it, never cleans. The GANSes embed themselves in the structures like a nano layer. In some, especially you see it in CH3 and CuO. You cannot clean the box from it. So if we cannot clean it, it means the residue of the fields are still there. Sometimes you don't see it, but because it was there. And mainly what is interesting, which I noticed, I discussed this, I think, a long time ago with one of the knowledge seekers. This is the wall of the container. This is the GANSes, which physically we see attach themselves to it. But what happens when you wash these cups or these machines, or when you stir it, you clean it, whatever, you'll find out sometime, and you can see it very clearly, amino acid entrapped in between. And the amino acid creates the contact between the CH bound and the CH bound of the amino acid. And you get that oily texture feeling on the surface. But it's not anymore GANs of copper. You have amino acid GANs of copper. So now if I produce again, let's say CH3 in this box, my CH3 carries the amino acid of the muscle tissue because it was CuO was in its strength. It's still CH3, but of a different strength. This, if I make it in a plain box, virgin box with nothing in it, I'll have the characteristics. But now this is for that purpose. The energy is of a different strength, even though it still is the CH3. Different spectrum of the field strength is used. Any other question?
Well, there's a few more questions in the Q&A if you wish to continue, but
let's see a couple more and then we see.
Okay. Let's see here. Perhaps we can address the question from Liko about making the plasma mirrors. Do you add GANs particles themselves to the nano coating and repeat up to 30 times?
I don't know. I cannot tell.
Trade secrets of...
that's what was going in my head, exactly.
Okay, let me see here. Try to get in another question that's relevant here. Dan had a question. After an accident at work, I kept my eyes bandaged for a few days, and then my eyesight and colors were different from normal. Why?
There are different reasons for it. Very much different reasons for it. The position of the eyelid or the corona can change. And that will allow you to see different colors, different dimensions. This is why we see different colors as we get older, because so at the young age our eye stands out. As we get older it goes more further back, so vision angle changes. So you see different lights. Yeah.
Okay. Just trying to see here. There is a couple of more, but I think you've pretty much answered the outstanding questions here. There's a question from Yosafa in Brazil. I'm not quite clear if it will be clear, but it says, "Hi, Mr. Keshe, thanks for bringing knowledge from the last few classes. It was and is being enlightening. About nuclear reactors, man's body creates pressure of fields and splitting of fields from the calcium to potassium and B12, which can follow to phosphorus and sulfur when needed. About the flickering of the drive gases, what is the source of the creation of the fields of these gases? Would it be hydrogen?"
What? Can you repeat?
I'm not sure what he means about the, he says about the flickering of the drive gases. I think he's talking about nuclear reactors. Flickering of the drive gases. What is the source of the creation of the fields of these gases? Would it be hydrogen? I'm not sure if that's...
I'm not sure either what do you mean.
We'd have to get more
Google
clarification.
Translation of it.
Yeah, perhaps.
Okay. Shall we call it a day? You don't have any more.
I have one video I'd like to play, which is the introduction to Iranian plasma reactors and the spaceship star formation that you presented one time. It's about 5 or 6 minutes long. Would that be appropriate?
I don't know what it is. I can't remember.
I'll give you a hint here and you can tell me, let's see. It's a Spaceship Institute promotional video.
Yeah, no problem.
Where you talk about the reactors. And no I thought it might be nice to, for the IAEA people to have a good look at these reactors that they felt so threatened about. Okay, let me just play that here. Sure it's set up.
Today is the 14th of April 2014. For the first time in public, we show the first nuclear reactor which has flown, it has lifted using gravitational magnetic field. There are 2 reactors. These 2 reactors have been tested in 2008 in Tehran, and they both lift and fly. This reactor has been captured a number of times in flight. So for the first time in public, we show the gravitational magnetic field reactors, which literally, this is the very first one, except the different base. The base was destroyed in testing, it was rebuilt. But this is the original double core half reactor used for space technology without reversal of polarity. weighs less than 14 kilogram. This one weighs less than 2 kilogram, and it has double core, free rotating internal core. This one has a reserve tank. The two have been fully tested with nuclear material before. Now there are no nuclear material. We're testing them with nano layers and composite nano layers. This has a special configuration. We cannot open internally the structure for certain reasons you might understand. But from today, the star formation for the space reactor technology is complete. And I would like to thank the Iranian government for allowing this to be shown in public for the first time. This is considered one of the edge of science technology reactors. The original one, you can see, is very dirty, it's been well used. And the whole process will be shown live from now on. What we do, we have a reactor which sits in the center. This is the one which was made for peace, World Peace Treaty, for the APO, for power generation. This reactor will take its position at 120 degrees, marked on this position. And the second one should sit at this position of 120 degrees, somewhere here. Or we put it here temporarily. And the third one should be coming in to sit somewhere here. So the three reactors will take their place, and from today you can watch it live, what is happening and how the performance will be. This is the first time that a star formation reactor has ever been done outside the territory of Iran. So we start and wish you all the best with the new technology and the new opening for mankind. Thank you.
That brought a few memories back for you, Mr. Keshe.
You see how young Armin used to be. You see his picture at the back.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed he was here this morning. I don't know if he's still here. He's there. I think his hand is up. Would you like to let him to speak?
I think he's got talking permitted there, but I'm not sure. I don't think his microphone is
connected.
Is available or connected. I could bring him in as a panelist, but
image is narrowed on the live stream.
Yeah, let me share better here. I was trying to get back to the image of Armin, but I got caught in between instead. Yeah, I think Armin could go ahead if he wanted to, but he's probably not available, I guess.
This reactor, originally shown in public for worldwide, but initially for the first time, this reactor was shown on 3rd of December 2011 in a
public meeting in the city of Ghent, Belgium. This is where we announced the week before that, the Saturday before that, we were supposed to use the flying machine, which they confiscated the nuclear material. We showed this on the 3rd of December in a presentation with 150 people in city of Ghent, near city of Ghent. And that was a time when we asked everybody to put their cameras and everything, that nobody photographed it. It was not seen in a public domain, but it was shown in a closed conference. This is where we showed it. And we said, we'll show the power of this technology very soon for what they did the Saturday before with us, not trying to show the flying system. And within less than 24 hours from showing this, the American drone was captured on the 4th of December to show the power of technology. It's more or less in line with what we explained to you a couple of weeks ago in our meeting with the officials, showing what has been done and lied to the Iranian officials. We saw the departure of the Iranian officials from the meeting after negotiation and back, and we saw what happened in Erbil. We speak with the power of peace, we speak with our commitment to peace, and this technology is there for it to be done. And it's an amazing system. When we talk about nuclear reactor-based system, it's never been done before. Never nuclear materials were loaded. And I have an ability to whatever structure of my body, I never use these remote control fixing things. Every nuclear material in both reactors, plus about 400 sources, are hand positioned. I don't get contaminated. Contamination with radiation with my body is non-existent. And this has ability to what we call share and deliver what is set to do. I have to just change 1 second microphone. One of the system's batteries is about to fail. The system was shown for the first time in public on a video internationally, in what we call with the knowledge seekers, and there's a lot of things which goes on with this in the background, and in demonstration of the technology. And what you see more or less, the bottom tank is a reserve tank. This carries a specific combination of what we call materials, which are built to become ready to become radioactive ignition material. This has a dome. We've shown this before. Arman is in the back. He's worked with this. He knows what it is, high stand. And this carries inside it on about 250 radiation sources. By controlling the position of the radiation sources, we can dictate what kind of plasma, which direction we want to test. When you put this in the position at a given position, and because this one primarily is not supposed to move, so we load the reactor in a specific way, in a specific direction. If you go one step further to show both reactors, please, Rick. If you can do that, that we see both reactors together. Yeah, if you stop it there. What is interesting is that if we, let me clean out the pass, if you can with that, yeah. If we
position the radioactive materials and the gas combination in a given position in the direction of this reactor, we can enforce which way to go. And if we design it in a way that is done in a specific way, arrangement, we can, we done this test, that we decide we want this reactor to go to there and fly at this position. And this reactor, when it's ignited, goes there and it takes in that position. So by a specific way of ionization and enforcing, we can dictate the direction of the flight. And this knowledge now is used in the enhancement unit for flight. But now it's more advanced, it's a different structure of technology. And this reactor is, as we said before, what Netanyahu used to sell Iran has a nuclear weapon technology, a nuclear space technology. And now we don't even need nuclear resources. We can create cosmic radiation through at will. Again, it's never taught outside. And in a way, if you go to it, it doesn't exist. But if you initiate it for the time of operation, it's created. It's very much, you have to remember, you read and you pass about being born to a father with an X-ray connection and being near X-ray machines. All that knowledge has been added up. How we can direct, we can strengthen different kind of X-ray machines to produce, to pass a tissue or a bone. That knowledge is embedded in. We don't think about it, but we use it knowingly for specific conditions. And that field is created. You use it to go from the bone to tissue. I use it to create directional motion the way I want. So when we speak about nuclear, what we call reactors, we will speak about flight system. This is all built-in part of. It's all interacting part of. And all comes as a what I call collection of knowledges gathered over years and in doing it. And as I said, somehow, maybe I come from planet Zeus, we never know. This has been a puzzle to my professors in Queen Mary College, how I can handle bare hand nuclear material without getting contaminated or showing signs of contamination. I could do the same in Iran. They used to go bananas. This guy handles nuclear materials as nothing. And I literally place them by hand in the exact position I need. Where in the university you have to do remote hands and all sorts of things. And this allowed us to do huge amount of experiments over years. I have loaded and unloaded the system hundreds of times. And this is a part of the structure of developing nuclear industry in a plasma technology. It brought back a lot of memories. If you play further, you see Armen and Yukoko from Japan when she went to Fukushima to do the first trials, whereafter we got involved with TEPCO and cleaning up there Fukushima. She's there. You see, she's just in the background, pops out behind Armen. She came to Keshe Foundation to gain the knowledge to go back to her nation. And she literally flew back to Fukushima and tested in government laboratories live online. She showed nuclear material can be controlled and can be reduced in strength. Any other question?
That was a good bonus that you added there. Thank you, Mr. Keshe.
This is the lab space in Desenzano. And this is one of the first times we opened a lab. It's literally reactors for students to touch and come into public. Because one of our students' reactor wouldn't work. He says, I brought the reactor with me, it doesn't work, what can I do? And I had to make a decision. I said, okay, come with me, I'll show you. You can choose which one you want. I'll give you a reactor, but the reactor which works. And then the rest of the knowledge seekers came in and each one took one. This is, when you look at this, going back to the framework, you see is the initial frame structure where test started and we went to 129 Tesla combination. These reactors were used to create a field flow in a plasmatic condition. 129. If you go back a couple of steps, you see some other things in these pictures, because there's a lot of things in the background. You will see if you go step back, just go a couple of steps further back. This is this framework is where we use, you've seen this before, for stopping a reactor and starting reactors. In the background, you see control panels for gases. This was built individually for each reactor, for each student. You go a little bit further back, you see it. These are all kept, all these systems, everything's still here with us. If you go, you see there, stop. You see this here. This is a control panel. We could control gases into each reactor. What combination gas, how much, whatever we could expand or extend or reduce. And then there is a you see them here. Each table has one unit. One student has one unit to control. So we could control all the reactors with the gas mixtures and everything else. And you see the power generators here, where we could control this without rotation and the rest. The interesting part with this lab was we used to create so much plasma at nights when we used to go, you heard this before, when they used to switch the light off, we used to watch the interaction of the fields of the plasma in the room with the fluorescent tubes in the ceiling. And we used to wait till it completes before we leave. Usually when you switch a fluorescent tube, you switch off and you go and it goes off. When you create plasma, the plasma is so much that the fields are still, the charges are still there, and you see what they call a light show. And there's a lot of things, memories with this place, and how this is the room when 129 test was done over time.
Mr. Keshe, is there any sense in returning sort of back to that technology? Is that, or is this a process that countries have to go through in order to progress to the next stage, or is it obsolete now?
For us, it's not obsolete. We learn from it. We learn hugely from it, and part of this knowledge now is embedded in the enhancement unit. It's not something we did and we went. Everything we learned over the time in development, in testing, has been added in one way or another to the next step of the what we call knowledge. We learned a lot was done. All these reactors, all these cables, pipes, controls are still with us in the lab in Austria. As they were, all the tables, everything is with us. These systems can be reset historically in 20, 30, 50 years, because everything is kept. And the tables are special tables, as you know. We said before, these are built by the Iranian scientists for Keshe Foundation. They are zero magnetic field system. You can work with them magnets on them, nothing, they don't get touched. We create a free, what we call magnetic zone. And you can operate, you can test. Because when you have a steel beds or tables and that kind of thing, you have a lot of interaction of fields. And this is what we have avoided. This is a gift again from the Iranian government in 2006, 2007, around that time. And it's 21 of them in total, I think. They're still in the Austrian lab, they're still getting used. And the reactors, these two reactors you see in the center of the exhibition in Austria. You see here the window. There's a window here. If you can see it. This window, we could see the rotation of the internal core. To what a speed it rotates, when detaches, when comes into motion, how we can do it. The base of the rotation of these reactors are very special. They are designed as a non-contact system. The central reactor is in a floating position, it's not on a motor. If you go back a bit, we can see the full, or you can move forward a little bit. Stop there. This system is free flowing at this level. At this level is free flowing. The inner reactor is not rotated by motors. It's a free flowing condition. And it dictates at one point it disengages from physical rotation. It decides its own speed, it decides its own direction, and sometimes it comes to a halt and changes direction. And you watch all that through the window. That's how we know the exact time. This system had originally two reactors because we wanted, there's one here in the back if you can see that thing. We want to see what is the field, do they look the same? Do the plasmons behave the same? And this reactor is fed through a special way in two systems with a revolving, I think it's 3,500 revolving bar. Allows the internal air to move separately than outside.
Did you use the scintillated helium in this unit, or was that not necessary?
You use that. You have to use it, but you have to know how to create it. You create it in a specific motion of gases. The centralization is extremely used in this kind of person only we can control. The reactor in the background you see hanging under the orange one is a two-core reactor. It's not a two-core reactor. It's just this. We paid 32,000 euro to build that back reactor. You see in there, they would call it a peace reactor. That has a 3 integrated reactors. And it's a specific knowledge how to create this. Then by changing any of these 3, we can decide which way the reactor floats and flies. The shielding you control. A lot of people in the testing always look for energy, but unknowingly, I look for the field interaction, how it does, what it does, the way it does. And you feel it sometimes. When we ran this reactor in Sharif Tehran University, it was very interesting. I call it, I spoke with it about it before, we call it a tickling factor. It's when you create fields, as we talk about the soul of the man, you interestingly create a dynamic field which expands depending on how much you can expand it. And I could control the expansion, not knowingly. And those days we had no system to measure how far the field has expanded. So what I used to do, we used to have a door. If this was a lab in the Quran, the system was sitting usually here. The door was here. I used to ask the security officers, because I was always locked into, nobody could get in when I was in the lab. There was always security officers outside. I could ask them to come in, and what an excuse. When they used to come in, I was waiting to see when it's like somebody wants to tickle you, you bend. I just wanted them to bending to see how I had no idea. So it told me, okay, the field is 3 meters now. And I do change the fields, and I ask them, can you come in, please? I want this. So now I see when they bend, it's 4 meters. I knew the strength of the field by interaction of the, magnetic field on the body. This is how we knew how to interact. And it took about a month and a half from flying this to be able to fly this and create motion. Because these fields are real. These fields are safe interacting plasma fields. They're not radiation fields. That is like as you go with a generator, but in a plasmatic condition.
You mentioned another way you detect the fields that I actually talked about yesterday in the plasma group, which was the radio that you keep going in the lab. And you know when the fields are working, when the radio stops.
Yeah. This
It's
radio
like the canary in the coal mine kind of thing, but an opposite.
More or less, yeah. If you look here in the base, you see these. These all have a meaning. There are control systems. We control the, the rotation. We measure the field interactions. Everything is measured by these, inputs. You see here 2 input gases. This machine has 3 of them. There is one in the background somewhere, because you control the gas flow pressure and the composition in the outer, the center here, and this one controls the gas pressure composition into the reserve. When you run out, you fill it up. And there is no suction power. The system automatically has been built, designed in a very specific way that it pulls the, the gases as are needed to be used as energy or ionization. Originally, if you look at it, this is the cooling system, where we had a motor at the bottom there. We could keep it cool, because in vacuum we cannot transfer heat. So we developed a technology that this transfers. In one of the videos you see it. Originally, we wanted to test a specific condition for purification. And I asked for a specific material which was imported overnight by the Iranian officials from Japan. Literally, here in some of the tests you see it, there's a blackish specific steel, and it's only made in Japan. And when they brought it to Iran, it couldn't be machined. It was still in a rough state by the way they cast it the day before. And we had to take it to a special factory to clean it with the light to the machine specifically. We still have this ring in the lab. And this ring cost tens of thousands to get it here. To order it to be made, to be flown, to be ready for the test in 48 hours. Iranian did not shortfall in anything expanding and spending to develop this technology, and this still looks. because when the metal came, the Iranian technicians, the masters in the lead machines, in cutting them to the way we wanted, they couldn't do it. They said this metal cannot be touched. We don't have anything for it. And I was there, I remember, with a suit and everything in the factory. I said, if you step down, I'll do it for you. He said, no, you're in a suit. You don't know what you're doing. I said, my friend, I have 3 diplomas in running machines, industrial machines. Just step down for 2 minutes. And within a few minutes, I cut it. He said, you're not just a suit. You know everything. I said, no, because we know what we do. Because every time they put the lead machine, the tip melted. It's a specific material that in the space we have, we don't get it done. We could get nearest to it. And we just put it on the lead machine. It just cuts like what. He says, how do you know these things? I remember I was going crazy. They called the office, said, this guy's not just a suit. He's working on the lead machine. Can we allow him? He says, you can't do it. He has to do it himself. And that ring creates a ring of Saturns. Had a specific reason for it. We could see the rings, the composition of the fields and what they hold in between them. It just brings back a lot of good memories in development of the technology. Thank you very much for the time machine.
Thank you for all the extra details there, Mr. Keshe. Very interesting and hopefully inspiring to some out there that might pick up on this trail and carry on with it.
Shall we call it a day?
I think so, yes.
Amen.
Well, thank you for a very enlightening workshop here, Mr. Keshe. Very, very good. I think we have lots of people happy.
Good.
Yeah, I think you get triple pay today. It's not even a holiday.
No. Thank you very much. I hope we can do more. His Armand is still there. He's still sitting around. He can't speak or he's fallen asleep.
Well, I'm not able to. Let me promote him to panelist. I'm not sure if that'll make a difference and wake up his microphone or not, but
he's
maybe. He's an attendee right now, actually. And he has talking permitted, though, but he doesn't have a microphone icon that I can unmute. And it's very slow to promote to panelists. Or Armin may have to update his Zoom software, perhaps. So I'm not able to promote.
I usually don't put out requests so easily, but we would like to ask the Universal Council and members of the Council and Keshe Foundation community as a whole for support of one of our knowledge seekers who has been there for a long time. He's a member of the core team. He is in a way critically ill, and we would like to ask for support for him to have an easy life, and if he can be helped.
He's been around the foundation as one of the main core members of the 12 members of the Keshe Foundation. And now he has met with the life, which was unexpected. And we are doing our best to support him in the coming time as we understand more about his illness. But we need the help and the support of the council and the Keshe Foundation. Thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you next week.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. Keshe, once again for another Knowledge Seekers workshop here, the 427th on Thursday, April 7th, 2022. Let me see, announcements. We have the Testimonials meeting coming up. Let me just get the date for that again. It's Monday coming up. And I believe it's the 11th, but let me check. Yes, it would be Monday the 11th. And that starts at 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time. And then Tuesday of next week, we also have the One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace with the Universal Council. People are welcome to join that and bring your questions that can have solutions for problems that you might be able to bring up. Anybody with any questions left over, bring them next week and we'll try to add them in. Thanks everyone for being here today, and especially to Mr. Keshe for presenting today's workshop. And I'll go out with, see a couple of the flight enhancement units. Get that lined up here. Oops. Okay. Okay, this is the flight enhancement spaceship unit with the music version, one of my favorites. And we'll have another video to go out with. Okay, bye for now.